Namaste and welcome to the Science of Identity Foundation Home Study Series. In this series, we will be offering tools, resources and inspiration for your personal spiritual journey. Jagad Guru, Siddhaswarupananda, will be offering insights from the Bhagavad Gita and other ancient yoga texts into how we can lead a life full of purpose and meaning, and how we can attain deep and lasting inner peace and happiness. We'll begin this program, with some kirtan, the chanting of sacred mantras. If you'd like to join in, please do. Otherwise, just sit back, relax, and listen. And now Jagad Guru speaks on how we can find our real life's purpose.
Today we're going to be discussing the question of progress. We probably won't be able to cover both the angle of individual and social progress. We'll just probably stick to individual, the question of individual progress. Progress, you know, everybody's trying to get ahead. Everybody wants to get ahead. Some people feel like they're wasting their life if they aren't moving forward, if they aren't getting ahead. So what we're trying to do is question what is ahead? What is progress? Okay? This is a very important subject because everybody's trying so hard to move forward. It's very important to know whether or not we are moving forward or what forward is. That's really the question, okay? So let me begin by telling a story. There was once a football player. His particular situation was that somehow, I don't know the exact situation, but somehow or other he got the ball, okay? He got the football, and he started running full speed towards the goal. And he was so happy, and there was a stadium full of people. All he could hear was just people screaming and yelling, okay? So he was running full speed, just, oh, wow, I'm going to win the game, and the whole thing. Yeah, he's just running and running and running. And finally he gets to the end zone. Oh, wow, he thought he had the goal and the whole bit. He thought he won the game for the team, you know, and everything. He thought everybody was just yelling and screaming because they were so happy that he had done this great deed, you know. And then he found out he ran the wrong way, okay? So when everybody was screaming, he thought they're all screaming. You're going, great thing, you know, you're doing here. They're all screaming, you're going the wrong way. But, of course, he couldn't hear what they were actually saying. So this is a very good example of how people can be, you know, aiming full on in one direction. And they may even really believe that they're progressing, that they're really getting there, you know. And they may even believe when they finally get there, wow, I've got here. I've got the goal. Here I am. I've got the goal. But they may have run the wrong way. The direction may not have been correct in the first place. So they put all this time and effort and energy in aiming towards that particular goal. But if the goal is the wrong goal, if they're moving in the wrong direction, then the whole thing is lost. There's no value in it. Now, in all societies of the world, practically, that we see today, basically can be divided into socialist and capitalist. The same goal is there. The individuals in these societies, practically speaking, we're generalizing because not everyone is included here. Not everyone. Practically everyone is seeing that the goal of life is accumulation of those things which will make it possible for a person to have increased sensual pleasure, sense enjoyment. Okay? This is the goal. Sometimes it goes under the name economic development or material prosperity or wealth or whatever. Okay? This is basically the goal. Not just that, but included in this also is fame or a good reputation in the community. For example, a person not only wants the material things to be able to enjoy, he not only wants a lot of money, but he also wants prestige. He wants to be able to walk down the street or go to a particular party or somehow be respected, to be known by others, to be respected by others, to be considered by other people a great man, or a good man, or a strong man, or an intelligent person, or a liberated woman, or whatever. Okay. So basically, people want that which will give them sense enjoyment, and they also want relationships where people are giving them respect or worshiping them, or at least maybe being their friend, accepting them, social acceptance, acceptance by others. People accept me, therefore I feel like I have friends, I feel like someone loves me, someone appreciates my existence. This is basically what people are striving for. This is the goal. This is the basic goal of the majority of the people in the world. It's a really sad situation. Oftentimes it's men, when they get around 40 years old or 50 years old, they have what's called a midlife crisis. Because they've gone through like 50%, what they consider about halfway through life, And they look back on their life and they start to wonder, have I done everything I could have done? Have I achieved what I should have achieved by this point in my life? They also start to consider, what is the value of it? They start flashing on time, and they start to wonder, they may have spent their entire life trying to develop this position that they now have, where they have sensual pleasure, sense enjoyment, where they have sense enjoyment and they also have prestige, or they have name and fame, or whatever it is. They've come to that point where they've, in quotes, succeeded. But still their life is empty, meaningless. They feel void. They feel a void and emptiness in their life. But too often they feel they can't change. They don't know if there's any other goal. They don't know what else to do. They certainly can't change the course. They're already set in their ways. They're already set on their course of life that they're taking, that they've taken. They're already stuck in that pattern. They went to 20,000 years of college just to be able to be where they are. They're certainly not going to waste all that. It kind of comes to that, like, kind of a waste sort of thing. Like they know that what they have and what they're doing isn't making them happy, but they can't stop and give it up or whatever. They can't just deny that is it, because they've struggled so hard to get it. They'd rather try to convince themselves that it is it, but they just don't appreciate it. Because if they were to admit, well, maybe there's some other goal or there's something else in life, then it means that they have to do a whole nother, it's like they've moved so far in one direction already, and yet they're going to have to admit that they haven't gotten anywhere. That it's all been for naught. It's all been of questionable value. They're still at the starting point. They'd like to feel that they're at the 50-yard line, at least, you see. So they go to psychologists or psychiatrists, you see. And they say, I feel so depressed. I just don't know. I feel like I've wasted my life. I'm feeling empty. I don't even know if they can verbalize it this well. They may not even appreciate it that that's a situation, but they'll go to these psychologists, psychiatrists, or whoever, and positive thinking courses or something, and try to feel greater appreciation for what they have. See, they say, well, look, you see, you have a beautiful wife, You have a nice home. You have to learn to appreciate these things. You have to learn how to appreciate. The person is always questioning. Everyone is always questioning, actually. Am I on the right path? Because they're going so hard for it. But as soon as they question it, they don't see any alternative, so they have to continue. What else is there to do? What other path is there? What other goal is there? Our whole society puts it forward that this is the goal of life. Material sense gratification, name, fame, wealth, material enjoyment, economic development. So individual progress is seen in that way. We believe that if we have more objects of sense gratification, the more progressed we are. The less objects of sense gratification we have, the less progressed we are. If the guy, some people down the street don't have as much objects to enjoy their senses with, if their refrigerator is old and our refrigerator is new, if their TV is black and white and our TV is in color, or if somebody's got a beautiful wife and your wife isn't as beautiful. Or some people can enjoy all kinds of fancy foods to eat, and you can. Then all you're thinking. But anyway, people think like this. From one way or the other, either you're envious or you're looking down on the other people, and you get to compare how progressed you are. Either you have the nice refrigerator and the other guy doesn't, or you got the bad refrigerator. Or you don't even have a refrigerator. So one way or the other, a person is seeing like this. This is the goal. And then they compare their progress by looking at others. This is how you compare how progressed you are. You look at the next guy. But what is the rule of comparison? What is the ruler that we use? The ruler is how many things we've got, how much sense enjoyment we get. That's all. This is progress. So we spend our whole lives going for this progress. From the beginning, a person, he's 5 years old, less than that already, and he's starting on the path. Go for it. Get more. Get more. Gimme, 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 gimme. Got it. Don't take it. Gimme this, gimme that. Gimme. Gradually, you want this, you got to go to school. I got to go to school. I'm going to learn computers. I can count a lot more numbers with computers, do a lot more things, collect a lot more, and be a bigger man. On and on and on. Finally, he's 60 years old, 70 years old. He's got his giant houses. He's got his hotels. He's got all his money. He's got all this and that. He can be a Howard Hughes. Then what? His body's getting old. He has to leave the whole thing behind. That's progress. Progress is this. Materialistic concept of progress is this. You spend your whole life collecting things, getting things in your possession, owning things, and developing your reputation as a person who everyone knows and respects or whatever, making your name big, so that 70 years later or 80 years later or less than that, you can leave it all behind. That's progress. That's a progressive person. It's not like nobody knows the end of the story. This is what's so ridiculous about this whole thing. We all know the end of the script. It's ridiculous. It's almost like we're cheating. We You know, it's like if a person has, you know, the inside information, you know, that, hey, you know what, everybody's doing all this, and, you know, if you can put all your effort and everything into this, trying to get all these things, and you can be, but then you see 50 years later on, the whole thing's going to get taken, you see. So it's just a trick, you see. So don't fall for it. And you go, oh wow, I know the end. I know that without a doubt that at the end, everything that I put my whole life into, I know that at the end, the conclusion of the story is that at the end of this story, everything I've collected is going to get taken away from me, including my name, my reputation, the whole bit. I'm not even going to be around to enjoy any of it. That's the end of the story, you see? And if you know the end of the story, if a person knows the end of the story, then they can say, hey, I know the end of the story. I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not going to do that because I already know the end of the story. If somebody came up to you and offered you a deal, okay, and this is the deal. The deal is this. You work, and for 1 or 2 years, you work and you collect all this money. Here's the job, here's the opportunities, here's everything, okay? Better yet, I make it even simpler. You know how they have those contests where people, if they win, they go into a supermarket and they can get all the things they can in a certain amount of time. They can pile up. You heard about this? They rush in and they get all this stuff in a certain amount of time and they rush out, okay? This is the situation. Okay? You know about this, yeah? Okay, this is the contest, everybody. You rush into the supermarket, okay? And you spend 70 years there collecting everything you can. But let's make it more realistic. Let's say 70 minutes, okay? Collecting everything you can that you can possibly carry, okay? And you run out the door, and it'll get taken away from you. Okay? But you see, we're the inside people at the supermarket doing the scam. We won't tell anybody the end. We'll just tell them the first part of the contest. That you go into the supermarket and you collect as much as you can for 70 minutes, and then you'll have it. You see? We won't tell them that when they walk out the door, they're going to have to leave it all behind them. That they can't take it with them. So the ordinary person is a fool. He doesn't know. He hasn't picked up on it yet. See, everybody's in this big contest in life. And they're all playing this contest of collecting the goods in the supermarket and running out the door. And every single one of them doesn't get to take it with them. If you look at your great-great-grandparents or your grandparents or even maybe your parents, none of them got to take any of it with them. They all collected all the groceries and all the goodies and everything and the houses and everything in their supermarket baskets. And then it got taken away from them at the door. Death. So everything they spent their whole life collecting, which is this is a contest of material life. The contest is who can collect the most goodies before it gets taken away from you. That's the contest. This materialistic life, that's the contest. Who can collect the most stuff before it gets taken away from them? So one guy collects 10 million things before it gets taken away from him, and one guy collects 50 things before it gets taken away from him. But they both end up with 0. And what's the prize? Even the prize has to be left behind. The prize is everybody goes, oh, he's a success in life. You see, that's the prize. The prize is you get to be in the newspaper known as a successful person. You get to be interviewed when you go into the city, different cities. You get to have books written about you. You see? So you get to be known as a success. But that's left behind too. You can't take the Star Bulletin with you. You see? You can't take the evening news with you. It's all left behind. You can't take the roaring crowds. Yay, you're a great man. You can't take it with you. The prize, everything has to be left behind. All the things, including the prize of, oh, big man. All of it has to be left behind. So you spend your whole life collecting everything. Then you have to leave it all. It's ludicrous. It's absurd, isn't it? It's the theater of the absurd. And what's really absurd about it is that everybody knows the ending. And yet we still continue to play the same stupid game. We still go along with the contest. We still get sucked in and try to be winners. Success means to win in the contest. And we fall for it. And death comes along. And the whole thing is left behind, and we've not made any progress at all. So the idea of progress is based upon what is the goal. So the materialist's goal is without any value. It's useless. It's absurd. The real goal of life can be appreciated if a person knows who he is. That he's not material at all, but is actually the eternal spirit soul. And therefore, a person's goal of life must be seen in connection with his eternal identity as spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. Time's getting short, so we'll continue on this discussion on what is the real goal of life and what is progress in our next talk. Thank you very much.
If you would like to receive updates on this home study series and get information on other Science of Identity Foundation programs, then please subscribe to this channel. We'll finish with a short kirtan. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you can tune in again. Namaste.